Winchester. Dumas, you'd be on the north side of this, and so you're going to want to watch this storm depending on the track it takes. If it goes a little more to the north, you would be in the path. If it goes a little farther to the east, kind of turns to the right, which some of these do if they're producing a tornado, that would be just down to the south of you, but eventually going along the Highway 165 corridor, 65, 165 down there, McGee, and along Highway 278. So it's north of there, and this is Highway 138, a tornado warning for Drew County. This is the only storm in the state that is warned. We still have some rain in the Little Rock area. We had the huge wind event that went through here. Still 116, now 120,000 without power in Arkansas. And strong storms continue way up in the northeastern part of the state, 80 to 90 mile per hour winds. But southeast Arkansas is the area where there is still some unstable air. Meteorologist Austin Burks also here with me. And Austin, this just kind of popped up just in the last 15 minutes or so. There wasn't much of a wind threat until then.
Yeah, we've been watching it, like you mentioned, for the last 15 minutes or so. And with these lines, you can get those little notches very quickly on you. So if there's a severe thunderstorm warning, when you're typically in these lines of storms, you still want to kind of get away from windows, stay in the interior part, and pay close attention to radar there. If we can take a look at Storm Scan, you can see exactly where that storm is located at there. Just to the east of Monticello, that storm is quickly racing off towards the east, probably around 40, maybe 45 miles per hour. Now, did a little calculation earlier with it moving at that speed. There is the possibility that it could be out east of the Mississippi here, hopefully within the next, for say, hour or less. So we are tracking that as it continues to slide over towards areas around. Let me turn it back to velocity so we can get a better look of where exactly that rotation is, so we can zoom in a little closer at some of the areas that could be in the path of this. But that area of rotation there is coming just over Arkansas State Highway 83. It'll move over 138. If we zoom in a little quicker, County Road 128, Florence Road, Southeast Road, and then Mount Tabor Road around 138 there. Just to the south of Florence is where that area of rotation will be heading towards here coming up shortly. So I believe they have it warned for around, let me see, if it's about 35 or 35 miles per hour. So we'll time this out for you. We'll put a storm cone here and see how quickly some of these locations could be in the path of this storm. Again, it's moving rather fast. Selma around 153, and then all the way towards Watson, the back end of this towards 231. So it'll be around the next hour or less before it starts reaching areas of the Mississippi. So again, this is just east of Monticello. There's still probably tornado sirens, and the tornado warning still in effect there, but the area of rotation now east of the city, but we are still concerned about maybe a potential spin up there. Haven't seen any reports yet, Barry, but I know it is the main concern that we are tracking here in southeast Arkansas at this moment.
Yeah, and we'll have to see where that actually tracks. We've drawn the cone out there, but it was moving maybe a little bit more north. We aren't sure that it is producing a tornado there out to the east of Monticello now. So Monticello, you're back behind this, but there's been some really strong winds. And I'm just going to take you into the area, and we're going to go really close in on there. There's Highway 138. There's a little maximum of wind headed back toward the radar site and a little maximum of wind headed away from the radar site up to the northeast. 83 and 138, the area in between there is the area you need to get into the lowest level of your home. Now, this could be a big area of wind. In fact, there is a big area of wind that's just a miniature area, I would say, though, that is bowing out. So there's wind with it, but there could be a little eddy, a little on the back side of it, wind's just kind of filling in on the top side of that little, what is increasingly becoming kind of that reverse C, that wind sort of signature. I will take you back in time, and if you can look along with me there, you can see as it was just coming into Monticello, the north side of town, there's that bright green area, now moving up to the north, and it will head over toward Winchester and along the highway there, 165, there's 159 coming off of it. So this is the area that we're watching, paralleling Highway 138. And on down the road, Dumas, I want you to pay close attention to what we're saying here. because this thing has continued to move kind of at the north edge of this. Yeah, there, they've reconfigured the tornado warning. They've narrowed it up some, have taken Monticello out. It's already past you there, but it's moving more in this area that might take it just a little bit closer to Dumas eventually. We're going to have to see where it goes, but that is the circulation center right there. If we look at the debris signature, I don't see much in the way there, and I'm going to go back a few frames on that. No, really hard to tell that far. It would have to loft debris way up into the atmosphere, so we don't know that that's the case, but the velocity product really is something that you have to watch there because there is that strong area and some wind coming away, so that would be the couplet area. That would be the circulation center along what is otherwise just a windy leading edge to this. If you look just at the rainfall part of it, you don't see a whole lot, maybe perhaps a little bit of a notch right there, but that's why it's so important to have Doppler radar, and the wind field inside the storm is really what we have to look at, and so we use this velocity product quite a lot. Now hopefully this little maximum of rotation there begins to wane very quickly, but in that environment it's still very warm down there. Austin, I think we're still in the mid to upper 70s perhaps in that southeastern part of the state.
Yeah, that's right. If you step outside here in Little Rock, it's 50s, even 40s in some other portions. So that colder air is trickling further towards the south and east, and it'll eventually overtake the entire state. And then there's our severe threat gone for the remainder of the day, and we just have to worry about the rain and flooding concerns. But if we look again at velocity here, I'll further track it again in a better location than I did earlier because it is doing that little kind of jog further towards the northeast. So we'll kind of go along with it. They did change the warning polygon too to go more that more northeast jog. So I think it could be close to Dumas, like Barry was saying. But Winchester 204, Backgate around 221, Medina around 240. So this is sliding quickly off towards the north and east out of Drew County and eventually into Desha County. Around 138 is the main concern right now, State Highway 138. But thankfully not seeing that rotation get any tighter there. But we still do have a tornado watch for some locations there, Barry, and here in Little Rock as well. But you would have to say that the tornado threat's completely over here in the
completely over, except right in advance of that line there. There will be some lightning back behind there. There'll be some gusty winds maybe occasionally, but the tornado threat will be confined to spots where there's actually some warm air. Here is our tornado watch, and it does extend way back here, but the Weather Service has been terribly busy. So we've just not deleted counties out of here, but the threat is just for a couple of counties down in southeastern Arkansas, Desha, Drew, Eastern Union, Ashley, and Chico County, down in that southeastern part of the state.
New tornado warning coming for Arkansas County now.
Yeah.
They're watching another area of rotation. I think they said near Ethel or Ethel. Oh, yeah, there it is, right there, just south of St. Charles there. So we can take a look again at velocity here, and we can show you where the winds are at on this storm and where that concern is. We'll zoom in quickly over here, and you can see there is that area of rotation right here, that little couplet around State Highway 17. We'll put this in play or maybe a couple scans behind so we can get the forward movement on it to show you exactly where it is heading and how it's quickly tightened up here in the last couple of scans. Let me zoom out a little further too. But this is in Arkansas County. This is a new tornado warning. This one goes until 2:15 for areas around DeWitt and just off towards the north and east of there. So rotation in the last couple minutes has kind of picked up. This looks to stay just to the southeast of St. Charles, but just in case, like we saw at the last one, it maybe jogs a little further north. St. Charles, get in your tornado safe spot, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. If you have a tornado shelter, basement, those are the best places. But don't go outside and try to look at this. Most of this stuff will be rain wrapped today. It's all along that line. And regardless of a tornado, there will likely be some gusty winds, dangerous lightning, very heavy rainfall. But we can also jog further south and look at that other storm there towards the northeast of Monticello. Still seeing rotation there that'll move over State Highway 277, 138, and eventually towards the Winchester area So 2 areas of concern that we're watching here in southeast Arkansas. We knew that was going to be the possibility this earlier afternoon. And once these storms slide east of the Mississippi and that colder weather starts to fill in behind that, then we don't have to worry about severe thunderstorms anymore. Barry, not seeing any reports, which is great news, but still 2 areas of rotation that are definitely concerned for tornado warnings.
Yeah, we continue to watch that one and the new one out to the east of DeWitt. And this is going to move over into Phillips County eventually coming up, but it extends out there along Highway 1. And let's go to the velocity product, and you can see it. This is, there's not a lot to that, but there is some rotation right there. And just on the south side of St. Charles, there's Highway 17. And it will be moving up to the northeast, and that will take it into the southern part of Monroe County and then over into Phillips County in just a very short amount of time. Let's go back, and I'll kind of take you through what this has looked like. I think the initial, look at the bright colors there, initially just about 15 minutes ago, that scan was pretty potent south of St. Charles. Now it's out to the southeast of St. Charles, and there is definitely still something there. And what we're looking at is the reds and the greens right there. So that moves across that southeastern portion of Monroe County, and eventually, and these are moving fairly quickly, they'll move into Phillips County in eastern Arkansas. Still looking at some bit of rotation as this storm in Drew County, I'm going to back out here, and this moves toward Winchester, and there's that area of rotation right there. Monticello, you're long gone from this area of rotation affecting you. It'll move on up, and somewhere, if we project this out, should come up toward Dumas, maybe just south of Dumas on the highway there, moving off to the northeast. Highway 65 corridor will be affected by this, but I tell you what, it's not going to last for a long time, and we don't think it's going to be a big tornado, but these are the kind of little, what we call spin-ups. They happen, and they certainly accentuate the wind that is going on. They generally aren't strong, but that doesn't make them not dangerous. They are dangerous storms, and they usually don't last a long time. That's also a good thing, but there is just a lot of heat energy still left in that southeastern part of the state. I don't want to get too zoned in on this and just kind of give you an idea of where we are. There's Chico County, Ashley, Drew, and Desha County, and it will be moving up out of Drew County, across that southeastern corner of Lincoln County, and into Desha County. But the thing that we're really looking at is that velocity product, both on the storm that will move into Phillips County. And there you can see, almost looks like 2 areas of rotation trying to form, one maybe up to the north of there, and then the one down to the east of St. Charles, kind of the east-southeast of St. Charles. So this is trying to look for an opportunity where it can pull, one of these rotations can pull in some dry air, and the rotation part really starts to go. But for now, Highway 1 east of St. Charles, that's where we need to be watching as it moves off to the east. We're going to look, we've already had wind damage within the state this afternoon, and the White River National Wildlife Refuge is right there, the White River that it will be crossing over. In fact, it is crossing over right now, those bright reds and bright greens right there. There's the White River. There's St. Charles up there, pretty part of the state. Down into southeast Arkansas. Still, there is some wind maximum right there along Highway 138, but I don't know if it's just wind or if it's actually a tornado, but it is tornado warned. So if you're in that area, western part of Desha County, far southeast Lincoln County, and northeastern Drew County, go ahead and get into that safe spot. It doesn't take long. And just in case, and it's going to be windy, it's going to be rain wrapped as well. You're not going to see it. So get into the interior part of your house, away from exterior walls and windows. Just get as many barriers as you can between you and the outside. Because if there's a tornado, and we see it over and over and over and over again, most tornadoes in Arkansas are EF2 or less, and they are survivable if you take proper precautions inside your home. And that's what we just talk about and talk about and talk about, and it plays out over and over again. But there is a little rotation right there. It persists, and it's going to go where Desha, Lincoln, and Drew County, that meeting point, it's going to be right there east of Highway 277. Austin, I think that has really maybe intensified. It's a small area. It's really picked up rotation.
Yeah, and the one that was near St. Charles kind of losing its luster with its rotation. Still tornado warned there just around Monroe County, but definitely that storm northeast of Monticello is the main concern. If you take a look back on velocity there, we can quickly look at the St. Charles area and just not seeing much with that in terms of rotation. You can see several scans ago around Arkansas 153, it looked a little better, but once it's moved up further towards Monroe County, it's just kind of a mess. So gusty winds, but still can't rule out the possibility of a tornado. It's kind of getting on the outer or further end of the tornado polygon as well, meaning that if they don't add another tornado warning on it, they'll probably let that one expire here pretty shortly. But yeah, the main concern is this storm down there. Look at the latest scan, Barry. There.
Yeah, it's picking up.
So we'll look at some closer areas around State Highway 138, County Road 143. We'll look a little further north as well. Areas around, that one's not pulling up, but we'll say towards Yukon Road, or at least Yukon, those areas. 165 will eventually be in the path of this. We'll put this in play again, and it looks like it's kind of moving a little more due east or northeast rather than north like it was earlier. So we'll track this out for you. They were moving about 35 miles per hour just minutes ago. Get it out there, put it out. So Winchester, you need to get in your tornado safe spot immediately. Don't wait for it. Just wait it out in your safe spot until it does move over you. Put as many walls in between you and the outside as possible. Winchester will be in your area in the next 10 minutes or less, and then Deuce around 225, and then Watson around 232, and then getting closer towards the Mississippi River by that point. It's kind of hard to tell. There might be a little area of rotation just to the south of it as well that we'll have to keep an eye on, but the main focused one is definitely the one they're heading towards the Winchester area. So
kind of two areas there. One of them will probably become dominant.
Yeah.
But Florence down to Selma in those areas. And again, this will be crossing 65, which is 165 there as they're joined together, but 65, Highway 65 in Winchester. But for the time being, we're going to look at that and come back to this one. There's the two areas that are kind of, as we mentioned, not behaving really. There is some effort for this storm to try to rotate, and it's apparently doing that in northeastern Drew County, and that's why we were saying anywhere in that tornado polygon, especially in northeastern Drew County now, maybe that far corner of Lincoln County, and then over into Desha County. We're going to watch this. It'll be roughly paralleling 138, and I know 138 begins to sort of meander around. It looks like this northern one might be becoming dominant right here. A little more of a notch right there, losing that southern part of it. So the northern part is going to move over into Desha County. And but northeastern Drew County, you're under a tornado warning, and as we said, this is why we say just get in. It's kind of unpredictable, and it's hard to see unless you're looking at a Doppler radar right there. So go into the safe spot in your house. If you're watching this, you can turn up the volume there. We're going to start calling out road names, but along 138, kind of on either side of that, and in the northeasternmost part of the county, Plantation Lane, County Road 413, County Road 414, and just some other small roads there in that northeastern part of Drew County, eventually heading over to Yukon. That's a very small community of Yukon, North Peacock, Omega, along Highway 65. These are just small communities, and town of Winchester right there, which is far northeastern Drew County. We're going to watch that circulation head that way. We know a number of you have been impacted by storms here in central Arkansas and up into the northeastern part of the state. Still 120,000 without power in Arkansas. A lot of those in Little Rock area, Pulaski County, and in Saline County, both North Little Rock and Little Rock down into Saline County. In fact, I think last I checked, 61,000 customers without power in Pulaski County, and something like 20 or 25,000, was it, in Saline County?
Yeah, 23,000.
Yeah,
in Saline County.
A lot of folks are without power, and that storm moved up into northeast Arkansas. Moving so fast, though, it's out of our area. And I will give you an overview of the state as we continue to watch that Drew County storm. Oh, and by the way, the tornado warning, I think, is going to be let go by the Memphis office because they're putting Phillips County in a severe thunderstorm warning there. So the rotation coming out of east of St. Charles is really starting to die down. We're going to go back out, and I'm just going to show you an overview of the state. And there's one area that still has heat, eastern Phillips County, down to far southeastern Arkansas County, Drew, Ashley, Desha, and eastern, and Chico County too. So that's the area that still has some warmth. I think this threat is going to be over within 40, 45 minutes, even in southeastern Arkansas. We're still technically in the tornado watch here. That will go away very quickly because it's already cooled here and rain cooled in a number of spots. So really our only tornado threat would be down in that far southeastern corner of the state. But we'll continue to watch this area of rotation as it kind of moves toward Winchester, and there's maybe another area of rotation trying to get going south.
If not, just some stronger winds there moving towards 278, 277 there.
Down around, heading maybe over toward McGee. We're just going to watch this area. I think this tightens its rotation a little bit and then loosens it a little bit. But the area that we were watching was coming up on Winchester. Still, there's wind, but I think it's losing some of its rotation. But look at the winds are strong, southeastern Lincoln County, northeastern Drew County. And we've already seen so far today, it doesn't take a tornado to do horrible damage like we've seen in central and up into northeastern Arkansas.
Yeah,
Austin.
still seeing, numerous reports of tree damage coming out of these locations in central Arkansas. I checked a second ago. Drew County did have some power outages on the southwestern side of Monticello. It was about 10 customers, not saying that it was a tornado. Could have been some winds or it could have been some lightning, but we'll continue to monitor that as that storm continues to track off towards the north and east from Drew County into Desha County. But looking closer down towards that tornado-warned storm, I mentioned this a little bit ago. With these lines like this, you can get these little notches quickly, maybe spin up a tornado, and then they fizzle themselves out. So, and that's what we're kind of seeing, just a little peak in rotation, and then a couple scans later, it's gone. So that's why they're still continuing with the tornado warning near the Winchester area, County Road 20, Omega, Yukon, those locations around 165, and eventually towards 277 and Stevens Road. That would be the next area in line for this potential tornado. And
that's just a big boat out area of wind. It looks like to me, but that doesn't mean it's not dangerous.
Yeah, we saw 50, 60, 70, even a little stronger than that winds with the boat out echo that moved through Little Rock, Saline County, off towards the north and east. So this line itself, stretching from northeast Arkansas to southeast Arkansas, has a history of producing strong winds, but now in southeast Arkansas, we are continuing to monitor that threat for potential spin-up tornadoes. So take your tornado precautions if you are under any tornado warning here in southeast Arkansas this afternoon. Hopefully this is the last one as this gets closer towards the Mississippi River. But yeah, like you said, Barry, just kind of more of a wind damage threat right now, just based off of velocity scans there. But it's going to move over right over 165, and then eventually up towards State Highway 1 and maybe the Watson area.
And there you're showing that area of wind coming toward Tiller. I don't know that there's rotation with that, but if you're in Tiller, also along Highway 65, anywhere within the tornado box there, because the rotations there are numerous little wind maximums, and yeah, we've got to watch all along that corridor of Highway 165, really from Winchester down to Tiller, I think. Dumas, I think this is basically going to go south of you, but there's still some strong wind that's going to be headed this way. We'll look on down then to the south for storms coming out of the Louisiana parishes, and it's Ashley County. There's no severe thunderstorm warning on that even. Earlier there was some sign perhaps of maybe a notch with some rotation, but we don't see that really anymore now. And so the only tornado warning that's in our area is from Dumas down to Tiller and points out into Desha County. And so that's the leading edge, and there's a little notch that tries to form there, and it's moving so quickly that it's crossing Highway 165 just even as we speak. I think it's a real wind maximum there. You're going to see, I think, trees pushed over. You haven't had quite as much rain, though, in that southeastern part of the state as we've had in this part of the state. It doesn't take, with wet, soaking, just sopping wet ground, it doesn't take a 60 or 70 mile per hour wind gust to knock a tree down sometimes. And I think we've seen some of that in combination with winds over 60 miles per hour here in central Arkansas. Still a number of you without power, number of neighborhoods. I think it's going to be a while before some of those neighborhoods come back on. But for the short term, we're watching this very small corner of the state that has a severe threat. It has warm air that is in place. I don't know that there's been an outflow boundary to kind of out in advance of this line, keep this line from rotating, but it may have something of that. So it's going to be marginal whether it's producing a tornado or not. But it's a tornado warned area, so you're along 65. Just go ahead and get into your safe spot, into the house. These are moving so quickly that you're not going to be inconvenienced for very long. Just get in there, and it'll be gone within a matter of just minutes as it passes on through. Give it 5-8 minutes, and you're probably going to be in the clear as the winds really start to pick up. Velocity, though, product still showing some spots along there that's strong. The National Weather Service is looking at this storm. Our partners there who've done an amazing job over this last 4 horrid days of Arkansas weather. And they're really talking about flash flooding more than anything right now. They're extending the times of these flash flooding events in Hot Springs, Saline, Montgomery, Garland, Clark, Pike County. And I do want to just come back out here, and I'm going to show you our flooding map, because the flooding, I think, is going to be it already is, but it's going to be really amazing. Austin, I think you said the Remmel Dam letting water go to the tune of 85,000 cubic feet per second, which is a really high flow rate there, but they've got to get rid of it or the lakes will go out of their banks, and so they've got to get rid. You can see we're under a flash flood watch everywhere in the state, but look at the counties that are under a flash flood warning. That is the vast majority of Arkansas, except southeast and northwest, that is under a warning. Flooding is imminent in those areas, and that is something I don't think I've ever seen in decades being on the air.
At least you get maybe with a tropical system or something, not just a multi-day rain event like we've
even
been
with
seeing.
the leftovers of a hurricane. I don't know that I've seen it that widespread, and that is saying something in this area.
And we've seen all morning and into this early afternoon now countless pictures and video of just flooding from roads that are completely covered in water, from bridges, and I've even seen pictures of a train that might have got derailed from floodwaters across North Arkansas. So this is one of those days that, you see some water on the roadway, and just like every other day, you do not want to drive your vehicle through that. It doesn't matter if you have one of those tall lifted trucks. Only 2 feet of moving water can sweep your vehicle away. So be very mindful of that. Just try to stay inside today. Also looking back here on reflectivity, on radar here, we're still seeing severe thunderstorm warnings across all of southeast Arkansas. I checked a little bit ago, and I believe there were about 500 power outages in Arkansas County now. So even without tornado warnings, although Arkansas County did have that brief tornado warning, this line is still likely producing 50, 60 mile per hour winds. So that's doing some maybe power line damage somewhere in the form of tree branches, trees, or just the lines themselves. So if you're under this severe thunderstorm warning, stay away from windows. Don't go outside and view it. Just write it out. It'll take a couple minutes, and then after that, it's all over with. So looking at the National Weather Service chat, and Yeah, they're just still really discussing the flash flooding threat, and we'll look at velocity again to see.
There's still, I think,
Yeah.
something there blowing out. It may just be wind, but south of Dumas.
Yeah, south of Dumas, heading towards Watson, Winchester, just moved over Yukon, Omega, near Stevens Road, State Highway 277, so Watson and Desha County, those locations. Southern Arkansas County, I believe, too. It could see some stronger winds as it slides off towards the east. So definitely worth keeping an eye on here. Looks like they revamped the severe thunderstorm warning. Still for 1-inch hail, so quarter-sized hail, and then 60 mile per hour. Did you see the National Weather Service said new tornado warning? Yeah.
New tornado warning. This will be coming for the remainder of Desha County. That will extend over to the Mississippi River, and it's because of this. Let me show you exactly where that is. And there it is. It's a wind. It's a boat out area, but there is some indication that of a wind maximum right there. And as it moves over toward Watson, I need you guys to all be in your safe spot, lowest floor of the house, most interior part of your house. That that's Highway 1 that goes over around Watson, right there. Cypress Creek Road will be out in advance, County Road 39, County Road 250, Singleton, small community way down on the lower part of your screen there, and that would be affected by this wind that is approaching. There is some processing time on this. I don't know that that's a tornado, but I think there are a few pixels there that show winds going away and a few that are going toward. And so we're going to just assume, even if it's not a tornado, let's assume that that area is the rotation area, Highway 277 that moves around there. Right along that, get into that safe spot, Desha County, and this will be over the Mississippi River in a very short order of time. But before it does, it'll go toward Highway 1 and Watson, and then we see the Arkansas River, White River, and Mississippi River right there, and that will be the end of our threat anyway, but it's got to be moving off to the northeast. Hopefully this will stop exhibiting signs of a possible tornado within it, but it's still going to be a wind producer over this area. So this will be extended on out into Desha County, and that should be coming in a very short order of time. They're going to be drawing that up. A lot of farmland there, but also a lot of farm homes in this area along the highway and up to the north. So there's the mouth of the Arkansas River, and where the White River runs into it down in southern Arkansas County. And so we're going to keep a close watch on this in Desha County. And if anything, I think it could be wrapping up, and that's why the National Weather Service has extended that on out. So if you're in Watson, go ahead and get in that safe spot right now. Anywhere along the highways there, and we'll give you a little bit closer view. Highway 277, this is Stevens Road. If you're on Stevens Road, where 277 extends on down to 138, get in the safe spot right now. That's the circulation center. Watson, it's time to go ahead and get in that smallest room in your house, the one that has no exterior walls and windows, lowest floor, and let's get through this as it moves really quickly on past. You think about a car going past your house at 40, 45 miles per hour. It doesn't take very long for it to move, and that's the speed of these storms, forward momentum of these storms. There's going to be wind with it, whether it's tornado wind, kind of irrelevant. Sometimes low-end tornado winds and high-end straight-line winds can be the same and do the same damage. So let's get into that safe spot. Austin and I have been talking about this storm for a little while now, and it is, as far as now that I can see, it's the only game in town. We're going to watch far southeast Arkansas. Really, Chico County would be the only other spot, or maybe the southern part of Desha County. But other than that, our severe weather threat is really wrapping up in the state, and this is kind of the trailing edge of this down here. It has not exhibited any sign of rotation at all. We're just looking more up here, kind of a leading edge of a boat out area, and with those notches within it, that's what you look for. And the great thing is that we have Doppler radar to look in, and you can see it right there. So Watson, if there is a circulation center, and I think there could be, let's look for debris on this. Anything that you've seen, Austin?
Nothing of anything to note. It's still pretty far away
It'd be
from
hard
the
to
radar.
tell. No,
Yeah.
I don't see that. But velocity-wise, again, that's great and all. But when you see a velocity signature like that, and a wind feature, that's wind, but maybe an accentuation of the wind. And in one small area, you can have that spin with a funnel coming down to the ground that really picks those winds up quite a bit. So that's what we're looking at as it continues to move. We are not long now. If we go back in time, we'll see that this storm has moved a lot just in the last 20 minutes. Look at that.
Yeah.
And so 20 more minutes, it'll be basically over into Mississippi, 25 minutes.
A picture sent to us out of the Monticello area
Oh, wow.
of this storm. It's sent to us from Cody here. And if you can take pictures safely and send them to us at katv.com/chime-in, we can always show on air what y'all are seeing on the ground level, what we can't see on radar and velocity. But looks like a shelf cloud there, not really seeing a wall cloud, but showing you that storm that is, moving through those areas earlier. A lot of heavy rainfall at that as well. Really good image there from Cody of that storm that's now in Desha County. And these storms are moving quickly, 35 miles per hour. So locations like Watson, I believe, don't have much. Is it past Watson yet? Or
Now, still approaching it.
still approaching Watson. We'll take a look at. Go ahead.
I think you need to let's take a look at that a little closer.
Go ahead.
I think
Barry.
there could be a tornado with this. It's really, it's ramped up just a little bit. And go to the velocity product there, Austin,
go,
if you
yeah.
can. Talk about that.
Yeah, right there. That rotation would be. It's a lot tighter. That's probably the strongest rotation we've seen so far with this.
Right.
Right around, circled it there, that counterclockwise spin, right around Arkansas State Highway 277. So that'll move over Stevens Road. If you know anybody there, get in your tornado safe spot. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. We can zoom in even further. That's a good thing about our software. Norris Lane all the way to County Road 39, County Road 251, just off of 277. Get in your tornado safe spot. All the way up towards Watson, Goggins around Arkansas State Highway 1, and then County Road 41. So these are some locations that could be in the path of this potential tornado. This is I believe the strongest rotation we've seen with this so far. So a tornado could be happening right now or very close. So take it seriously if you live in Watson. We'll also put a forward progression on this. Let me scan it once to see which direction it's going in, and it's still going about to the northeast. We'll do about 30 miles per hour or so. Watson here in the next, I'd say you probably got 10 minutes or less. Although it shows 227 there, I think you probably have the next 10 minutes. Medina, those locations, it could come close to your area, and then eventually towards the Mississippi River there. I think Deerfield's right there on the Mississippi. So stronger area of rotation we're watching. Barry, is that the only area of rotation we're tracking now here in southeast Arkansas?
There looks like a little wind down to the south of there, but
Okay. Good deal.
At 30 miles per hour, Watson, Medina, Gunnison, Laconia.
And that warning that near Tiller, that's the old warning, correct? That expires in 1 minute. So
Right.
New warning downstream until 3 o'clock. But I think this storm could be right on Mississippi, the river, or just outside into Mississippi by 3 o'clock. So
it's not going to be here long because of fast forward movement. I think it'll be before 3 o'clock that we actually see that. But let's take a look at any other possible areas of rotation with it. And let me look at this. Yeah, even down to the south, we'll go into velocity mode. We see some wind perhaps approaching Dermot and Jerome, kind of a boat out area there. Just some elevated winds. I don't know that they're strong for sure. I don't know that they're severe, but I don't see any rotation other than this storm that it could be rotation approaching Watson. We'll look on down to the south of there. There does look like another area that might be trying to form east of Winchester, but pretty iffy right now on that one. Again, though, if you're along Highway 1, this is wind, and there could be some rotation that is making it to the ground, producing a tornado heading to Watson. We've been saying, Watson, you just need to get into that safe spot. It's approaching you, and in fact, probably already there. There is a little bit of lag time. You think about just a few seconds of lag time, this storm is already out in advance of where we're showing it right there. We're waiting for a new scan, but it'll be crossing very near to that area. So get into that small spot, that most safe spot, which is the lowest level, most interior room. And the Mississippi River is right there.
I think might have to watch, not maybe for rotation, but the area just to the north for maybe some gusty winds there in the last couple of scans.
Yeah.
I believe it's
Southern
at Arkansas
Arkansas
County. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll have to watch that for
I
some gusty
agree.
winds.
I think all along there. And we'll watch also down to the south. That would be kind of central Desha
Here's
County.
The scan. Look, 2 areas of rotation, it looks like now.
Yeah, exactly. That latest scan, you see this? The Watson one that we're talking about, and now this one is trying to form, and it keeps happening. There's one, and then one becomes dominant, and it may be that this southern one will. We aren't sure, but there's 2 areas that are trying to notch in just a little bit there. So that's why we say within that entire tornado warning, go ahead and get in the safe spot. It's going to be right here for now, but then there could be other areas that begin to show those signs of rotation. And we are not at all sure that there's a tornado down on the ground. But in cases like this, warm, moist air, let's just go ahead and, for the sake of argument, just assume there is. Let's err on the side of caution, as we always say, because it's not that big a problem just to take cover very, very quickly. I do think that area down to the south is tightening up somewhat right there.
Yeah.
So all the way from Watson on down, if you're living along Highway 1 right there, go ahead and get into that safe spot. I'm going to go back a few frames and show you kind of the evolution of this storm system. And you can see that the north part of it was more pronounced a little bit earlier, but in this last frame or so, there's a wind maximum right there, kind of on the south side of coming into Watson, whereas this other one was a little bit north of there. Still, both of them evident. Both of them are tornado warned, though. This is what it looks like just on the rainfall image, and it's really hard to tell unless you look at the velocity product. But in any event, there's going to be wind with that system as it moves through.
Yeah, it's still seeing the same amount of power outage reports I did earlier. It's usually about, I think, a 15-minute interval that we'll see in new data coming from the power outage site that we look at, but still about 500 out in Arkansas County, none that I've seen in Drew County or Desha County, which is great news. That means this storm's hopefully not producing any damage in terms of winds or tornadoes and even for lightning. So we're still looking at this storm sliding just to the southwest right now along and near Watson. So Watson, hopefully, I mean, you've had a lot of lead time here. Hopefully you're already in your tornado safe spot. And a reminder, you can always listen to us or at least watch us on your phone. I believe you type in KATV.com/watch. It's a easier and safe option than staying in the living room or wherever you are just to get in your tornado shelter, your tornado safe spot in the interior most part of your home. So last couple scans, maybe the southern storm or southern rotation is what's kind of taking over there near maybe Kelso or 138 and State Highway 1 intersection. But the rest of it still looks like it could be producing some stronger winds as it slides towards Watson. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. We'll turn it back to radar and kind of play this out for you here in southeast Arkansas. If you've been with us this entire time, you've realized how quickly this has moved from Monticello. That's when we jumped on air, and it's already almost over the Mississippi River. So that's good news. We got probably, I'd say, 15 minutes or less with this storm here in Arkansas before it is into Mississippi, but we will have to continue watching Ashley County, those locations, maybe into Chico County. That's our last part of viewing areas, Chico County there. So Lake Village, those areas, watching that line of storms, but haven't really seen any indication of anything too strong or severe with that. So just keeping an eye on this storm in southeastern Arkansas County, Desha County, and then, I mean, look, that line's already extending east of Memphis. So this is quickly moving on out, which is some great news for us here across the state in terms of severe weather. We just, after this, have to really pay close attention to the flash flooding across central Arkansas and other portions of the state.
All right, let's head back to southern Arkansas County and into Desha County where the tornado warning is in effect. There are just some spots along there. You'll get a little bright burst of wind. That's down to the south of Gillette, and I believe that's the small community of Tishner down in, actually that's out to the east, but you can see Tishner and Gillette right there. There's a lot of wind that's moving through that southern part of Arkansas County, northern parts of Desha County, and anywhere along there in the tornado warned area, there could be a little burst where there's a brief little bit of rotation, and it's just several little spots that start to show up there. So it's difficult to see when the rotation is weak, but we know that certainly there's wind, and there might be a weak tornado that accentuates the wind field there. It won't be here very long. There's that area of Arkansas County, the area of Desha County that kind of sticks way up there. And so this area will be moving across there. If you live anywhere in there, go into the safe spot in your house. Radar-wise, we have not many square miles of Arkansas that are still in the warm sector. Eastern Ashley County, Chico County, eastern part of Desha County, and really up into Phillips County as well. Although I think just the southern part really of Phillips County would be still in that area where it's still warm, and that isn't going to last very long. There's only just a few mile wide gap up there before the rain has already broken out. So what we're looking at is the tornado warned storm. Velocity is the key tool that we use, and it's right on Watson right now. If there is circulation, I'm going to say that's the most pronounced area right there. Watson, you should already have been in your tornado safe spot, and we're not sure that there's a tornado there, but it is tornado warned, so that's why we tell you to take cover, shelter in place until we tell you that it's off to the east. We'll stick with this too. Anywhere in the KATV viewing area, we're going to stick with the tornado warning. I know it doesn't affect many people in the state, but if it was your part of the state, you'd want to be warned as well, and that's what we do. We want to keep people safe. If we can get through this period of time, this Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, with no loss of life, and I really haven't heard of many injuries either, if any, it will be nothing short of remarkable. And hopefully our warnings are helping with that, but and the fact that the storm's underperformed in some cases. But the flooding threat, I think, is life-threatening in a few areas, and let's not let our guard down until the floodwaters begin to recede. And so that's just my caution to you, even though the wind part of this is going to be soon over. Near Watson, out to the east of Watson now, that area of wind, no clear area of rotation, but we're a long way from the radar site there. But that southeastern corner of Arkansas County, Desha County, you've got a few miles till this storm passes over the Arkansas River, or the Mississippi River. It'll pass the Arkansas River as well, but the Mississippi River. And then we should start to look for only just a few spots in southeast Arkansas where any severe weather is just even possible. Here's what the radar looks like. Back in the Little Rock area, we still have rain. We still have some lightning and thunder in some spots and some heavier rainfall. That will add to the rainfall totals. I think the heaviest of our rain, Austin, is done.
Yeah, it was that initial line that produced all that wind damage that we saw here across central Arkansas. If you look behind me, I don't know, Cam, if you can take storm scan. I have it pulled up on there, but there's still 116,000 out, or at least a little more than that, out here in the state of Arkansas from that windstorm that came through from Saline County to Pulaski County, off towards the north and east, stretching all the way to Jefferson County. There's countless severe warnings, but Cam, take Max 1 here, and you'll see that the tornado watch that we had in effect for Little Rock, Hot Springs, Clark County, those locations is now been canceled or expired here, or not canceled, or not expired, but canceled here in central Arkansas. And we've been talking about that. It's cooler here. The main threat is down towards the Mississippi River there, and that's why there's still some ongoing severe thunderstorm warnings and the ongoing tornado warning. And And then once those move out, we might have to watch one storm towards Chico County in that area, and then we should be out of the clear for severe weather. But, you know, keeping a close eye today on flash flooding, still ongoing in locations, because we have numerous flash flood warnings ongoing here for the next several hours. So another look at radar here in southeastern areas of Arkansas towards Desha County. Still waiting for them to maybe expire the warning or cancel the warning early. We'll take another look at velocity here and see if there's been any changes to the rotation in the storm. Not nearly at all as tight as it was just around Watson or just before Watson. Looking more again like a stronger wind threat there in southeastern Arkansas County and Desha County. So does it mean, I mean, we've seen it 2 or 3 times already where it kind of weakens and then the southern portion takes over again with more rotation. So we'll have to watch it if a new area of rotation like this. I mean, speaking right into existence, there's an area south of Medina that we, you know, could be a little stronger than what it was a second ago. Or actually, it's the same rotation, Barry. So it's kind of just going in and out of on its weakening trend and strengthening trend. So, but I haven't seen any reports of wall clouds or anything, which is great news as well.
No, we saw that one picture from Monticello, and it looked like a shelf cloud, which is just kind of a bowed out area that looks really terrible and is associated with wind. But a lot of times, it doesn't even have to be severe wind that we're looking at when we see that. And so no obvious reports of even funnel clouds within these tornado warnings in the southeastern part of the state. Leading edge of it really coming very close to the Mississippi River in some spots. And then the rotating part of it will move on over. If there is a rotating spot, it would be somewhere out to the east of Gillette, perhaps, or just down to the northeast of Watson, a little bit of a notch right there. So that will take it up into that northeastern corner that juts out of Desha County.
They issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Ashley and Chico County for that southernmost storm now. So
right, yeah, we'll have to watch that one back into Ashley County as well. Really a long way from the radar site there, so that is difficult to see. But we'll watch it as it crosses Chico County. I don't think it's not as strong as the storm that is tornado warned on up to the north. We're just showing the velocity product, just the wind inside this. That's the little notch that they've been looking at. If you look up, you can probably see maybe just a tiny bit of lowering of the cloud base. Not entirely sure that there is a tornado potential with this, but it is tornado warned, and at a moment's notice, it could spin and could produce some damage for a short amount of time. These are usually short-track tornadoes as they move off to the northeast. That'll be Highway 44 that goes down into that unique little part of Desha County that sticks way up away from the rest of the county there as all the rivers start to come together. Mississippi White and the Arkansas River come together. So we'll put this into motion over the last little bit. You can see how quickly this was 30 minutes ago, and now it's moved through Winchester, through Watson, and it just doesn't look as formidable as it did just a little bit ago. But wind, yeah, there's going to be a wind factor all the way down, even to the south of there, even down to Arkansas City, perhaps. But the leading edge of it, the bowed out part, is really the more concerning thing to us. And then we'll look on down into South Arkansas. The Jackson radar picks up that storm from Wilmot to Portland. There it is. That's Ashley County. And this is in the viewing area of Channel 7, Chico County. So Lake Village and on down to Eudora. We'll keep a close watch on that storm. Doesn't look like there is much in the way of that storm, but looks like just more of wind out in advance of it. A broad area, maybe of some rotation, but we're a long way from the radar site in Jackson. This is one of those areas of the country that is a long way from any radar. It's a long way. It's too far from the Memphis radar. It's a long way from Little Rock and Jackson radar, and it's quite a long way from the Shreveport radar also. But there is a severe thunderstorm warning for you folks down into Ashley and Chico County. Tornado warned area. is quickly shrinking as it moves out to the east of Watson. We'll back out. There's Elaine, and there's Gillette. So Gillette, Tishner, you're west of where this wind and perhaps rotating part of the storm is, and it will move into that southernmost part of Phillips County, northernmost part of Desha County, out of Arkansas County. That's where they all come together, and there's only a small little area until it moves to the Arkansas River and mercifully gets out of our hair in this state. This is, it's been quite a run of inclement weather. I don't think I've seen a parallel to it. It may not be the worst tornado outbreak we've ever had, certainly without loss of life. What a blessing. But it's been a horrible outbreak of just weather of all sorts. And the flooding threat, I can't understate it enough. We are still solidly in that flooding threat. Still have that tornado warning in effect for parts of Desha, Arkansas, and yeah, I guess just those two counties now. And the National Weather Service in Memphis is choosing to extend out from there over into Phillips County and into Mississippi, a severe thunderstorm warning. But they do have a little spot there that is a tornado warning. Great town name over in Mississippi, Alligator, Mississippi. And that is going to be, that rotation could be moving there. It looks like this has slowed down some. There's the Memphis radar. You can pick out maybe a little bit of rotation along with that, but the Little Rock radar is still the closest bet, the closest one to that. And I just think this is a lot of wind moving out into that area.
Especially still in South Arkansas County there.
Yeah.
A little bit of wind peaking across those locations. I got an image for you to show. We're still getting a bunch of pictures sent to us from that line of storms that moved through the Little Rock area about 3 hours ago or so. This one sent to us from Regina there on 13th Street near the police station there. That is a massive, massive tree that got toppled over from that damaging wind line that moved through. It even fell there in that car. No telling if there were other cars under that. Hopefully no one was in those vehicles. But, I mean, this is just one of many images that we're seeing here from those strong winds that came through Little Rock. That's why we went on air earlier. It's because we knew it was producing some damage there. We're still seeing over 100,000 power outages in the state of Arkansas, with most of those being in Pulaski County and Saline County and sporadically throughout east and southeast Arkansas through these storms. So even with severe thunderstorms, you can get damage like this. That's why we always tell you to take every warning seriously, no matter if it's a tornado or a severe thunderstorm warning. This is the damage that you can get from either one of those. That could be a weak tornado damage, or that could be high winds from severe thunderstorms. So we'll keep a track on these severe storms across southeast Arkansas. See, Barry, you're looking at maybe some other areas down towards Chico County, around 165 there, though, in Ashley County.
Right. And I'm gonna show this, and Austin, I want you to weigh in on this, but you can see this curved area down in southeast Arkansas, and there's a curve on the back side of it there. It's kind of a little low, and if you look at the wind product of this, if you just purely looked at that, you would see a little bit of a wind away from and wind toward. Now, this is a long way away from the radar site in Little Rock, but that doesn't have the look of a tornado to me, only because it's not out on the leading edge of that.
I would agree. I know
thoughts?
sometimes with those backward seas, especially if you get those appendages on the backside, you can sometimes see a tornado there weirdly in that spot.
Right.
But on
we
that,
would be concerned about the leading edge.
Yeah, that's the backward sea is more, the damaging wind threat. And it looks like there are some stronger winds that are going to move over 165 there.
Yeah, I think so, and that there is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. You folks, eastern Ashley County, and our friends down in Lake Village, but we're looking at that storm. So, again, we apologize for breaking into programming today. I know there was a hockey game on. There's other things going on on ABC this afternoon. We're going to completely take this all the way to the Mississippi River, then concentrate on the flooding threat. We will not be under this damaging wind and or tornado threat forever, folks. It is going to end. There is light at the end of the tunnel. It'll be cold tomorrow. We have plenty of sunshine and plenty of just really nice, dry weather. And I know that is a huge sigh of relief to everybody, but we've got that coming in this forecast. Austin will have much more on that tonight at 6 and 10 and all throughout the weekend. I want to thank him and James for doing such yeoman's work on helping me out with all this over the last few days. It's been a grind, and for those of you who have been affected, it's been more than a grind. It's been just a lot of sadness with trees down, and there have been tornadoes that have touched down. There's been damage, but thankfully no loss of life. And boy, if there's something we can take away from that, that is the greatest thing. We've got to get through a little bit more of this tornado warning here. We're going to carry it all the way to the Mississippi River, and there still is just an area that's trying to rotate. And I'll bet if you looked at the bottom of that storm, you would see a little bit of a rotation, maybe possibly a little bit of lowering of the cloud base. But there's a lot of rain with it too, so it would be difficult to see. It's just we don't know that it has ever put down a tornado. We've seen no debris signature along it, but that doesn't mean that we don't watch it and keep a close watch on it until it gets out of our area. It's our policy to go on with tornado warnings in our area that is dominantly watched by Channel 7, and so we're going to continue to do that. We'll look down in South Arkansas. That's kind of a wind-producing storm there. We see the rotation part on the back side, not the leading edge of this, so I don't know that is something that would be a tornado-warned storm at all, but I think there is wind for you folks really just coming into Chico County now. The leading edge, Portland, and off to the east, there's Montrose there, and Jerome, and that's the strongest. That looks like a hail core of some sort. I don't think it's a big hail threat for there today, but there could be some hail within that. But I think it's a wind threat that we're looking at, just marginally severe wind, but it is a severe thunderstorm warning throughout all of Chico County. We're going to continue to watch it as it moves on over, and it'll eventually emerge into Mississippi around Greenville. Our tornado warning is still ongoing. Part of that storm, though, is actually touching the Mississippi River. Still just a lot of wind right on the leading edge of that most bowed out area, and that right there, that would be the area in that upper part of Desha County that we're going to have to watch for a little while longer. It's a 40 mile per hour forward motion on that, and we've only got 4 or 5 miles to go, so this is not going to take very long for this to traverse this whole area. I think within 10 minutes, our threat with this storm is going to be really, really winding down. And then we'll watch only that southeasternmost part of the state. Once tornado warning is gone, we'll go back to programming, but we won't let our guard down as far as Chico County, and we won't let our guard down as far as flooding is concerned. We've got crews that are spreading out in the state. We'll have much more on this coming up at 6 o'clock tonight. And then we'll just have some time to kind of catch our breath. But a lot of, several homes have been affected. A lot of power lines have been affected here in central Arkansas. Around 120 to 30,000 customers without power just in Saline and Pulaski County alone, just in our two counties, and around 116,000 statewide are without power. Hopefully no more power outages down in that southern part of the state. 537 outages in Arkansas County, though, right now. 52 in 266 in Desha County, and just a few in Phillips County, but it really hasn't been there. And I think it's quite possible in that southeastern part of the state, there's enough wind in the tornado-warned area. Oh, and they've added a tornado warning to
north of
southern Phillips County.
So they're watching, I guess, that other area of rotation to the north of it.
Yeah, just on the north edge of it, really there. Because anywhere along there, there could be a little notch.
It might move north or something is what they, that makes sense. We've seen that a couple times already. If you want to take me, Cam, we got some video sent to us from the Tiller area. So that was along the path of this same storm that's now getting closer towards the Mississippi there. This one's sent to us from Stephen Wilson. Looks like a little lowering there. Again, that was tornado warned just a minute or about 15, 20 minutes ago, but nothing definite there. Just a little lowering. Looks like a shelf cloud too, so you can see all that rain and stuff. So wind driven definitely with that shelf cloud, but maybe a little lowering on that backside there. But great video sent to us from Steven. Hopefully he was doing so safely. Always send us your pictures at katv.com/chime in. It really helps us relay anything that you see to the National Weather Service and that we can't see. We don't have any eyes there. Y'all, the viewers, are our eyes, so it's very helpful when we're especially that far away from radar as well to see something definite. So thank you, Stephen, for that video.
All right, we continue to watch two areas that are tornado warned, but yeah, that's the kind of thing you're going to see with these areas that are kind of marginal as far as rotation is concerned. There's definitely wind with a little notch there as it just now emerges into the farthest point south in Phillips County, farthest north part in Desha County, and that's really the area that we're looking at. As soon as that area crosses the Mississippi River, our threat, I think, will be done. We'll watch the northern part of that and up to around Elaine and Highway 20 that moves through there. Little towns of Countess, Ratio, Catron, Lundell, Crumrod, Deerfield, Snow Lake, and that's where it is right now. Just back a few frames on this. You can see maybe a little more wind potential with it now as it bows out. I don't see any obvious sign of rotation with that, even though it is tornado warned. But get away from walls, exterior walls and windows along Highway 44 as it comes down into that area that's kind of just a lot of delta farmland there in the southern part of Phillips County, and it will quickly move over across into Mississippi.
Barry, the National Weather Service in Jackson is watching that storm for maybe some weaker rotation as it moves into Chico County. So definitely bears watching, I guess, for as it moves towards maybe close to Lake Village in those areas.
Right. Yeah.
So we'll watch that. It's severe warned. Just Lake Village, make sure you're paying close attention to radar and us. If there is a tornado warning, we'll continue coverage. But okay, the only one we're tracking is still up towards almost the Mississippi River there in Desha County, which is good news. And then this is the last area. Southeast Arkansas is the last area that we have concern with, and that's the good news that we have with this is once this moves through, we just have a rain event, not as heavy as what we just experienced, but still some light to moderate rain moving through the same areas that are dealing with flash flooding. So we'll have to continue monitoring that as well this evening. But much cooler air filling in behind this system off towards the east, and that one storm Barry is almost, I mean, it's almost completely in Mississippi now. So.
Yeah, it's just for a few square miles of northern Desha County, and other than that, it's gone. And you folks are already in your safe place, we hope, as we've been talking to you about that. But we are watching the storm that is in far eastern Ashley County, and there's some weak wind coming into it and some weak going away. And this is from the Jackson, Mississippi radar, and they have warning responsibility for those two counties. From the Little Rock radar, it doesn't look like much. I will tell you that it's out there so far from the Jackson radar. I'll tell you just exactly how far it is, but it's on the order of 80 or maybe even 100 miles away from the radar there. So we're catching the top part of the storm. That does not, or at least 10,000 feet up, we're not getting an accurate picture of what's going on at the lowest levels of the atmosphere. But when you see rotation up there, you have to be concerned. I think they're watching it, they're concerned, and if this did develop anything or have the potential to, we would say that over into Lake Village. So just the breadth of Chico County right there, not terribly wide, that would be the area from Portland to Lake Village along Highway 82 and just to the south of it. That's where that would be. It's severe thunderstorm warned now, and we'll keep a close watch. And then we go up to our storm, which seems like it's slowing down as it moves out of southern Phillips County. But you can see there is a broad rotation there, and it looks like it's a broad area. It's almost like that little spin in the atmosphere that accentuated the winds, I think, as it came through the Little Rock area earlier. Just a bowed out area that kind of wraps around. There could be something trying to form there, but I think what this is just a big wind producer out in advance of it. Winds going away from the radar and toward, but over a large area. But it is tornado warned, and that's why we've said in that area, go ahead and get into a safe spot. It crosses the Mississippi River really quickly, and in fact, I think it's about to cross. There's the Memphis radar. There's the Little Rock radar. Yeah, we're not too far away. I think the forward motion of this, Austin, I think, has slowed down. It's
Yeah.
almost like it's going in reverse. It's going so slow now, but I would say it's more like 30 miles per hour.
I'm going to see what the newest warning they had a little bit ago. I bet they lowered that forward progress down from 35 to 30 miles per hour. And the good news, been tracking that storm out of Ashley County, heading into Chico County, and to me, it still looks like it'd just be a wind threat. I'm not seeing really any concerning signs of any rotation, so maybe some gusty winds. We'll have to watch there, just around northeast of Portland. This might move just to the west or northwest of Lake Village, but that's an area of stronger winds that are moving around 293 there in northern areas of Chico County. So we'll watch it, but yeah, that storm, Barry, it's right there on the Mississippi. I mean, it's almost back into Mississippi itself. So that's some good news.
Yeah, we need some good news. Yeah, yeah, they're gonna continue to watch that storm, and it would be out. It's moving into Chico County right now, but as we move out of this storm moves out of Desha County, we say good riddance out of this southern part of Phillips County, south of Elaine, and it is now in the process of moving over because, again, there is some processing time, so it takes just a second to move on over the river, and that's indeed what it is doing. Behind this line, there is no severe weather threat. You can see where all the warnings are along the line itself. There still is rain going on, though, around our region. Put this into motion over the last 45 minutes. You can see another round of rain is coming up through Little Rock. Last thing we need. But in southeast Arkansas, it's Chico County. It kind of sticks out there as the Arkansas, or the Mississippi River rather, makes a little turn out to the east, and that's where our friends in Chico County are. And we're going to tell you that you're under a severe thunderstorm warning, and we're just watching this obvious wind producer as it moves up toward Lake Village, and possibility that there could be a brief tornado with that. I don't think it's a likelihood, but it is not impossible because they're talking in the Jackson, Mississippi, they're chatting about this, and they're saying it just feels really warm and really muggy, kind of like we felt yesterday here, but it's just one of those really springtime, almost late springtime days with so much warmth and moisture, and now the rain moving into that area. The rotation part of that is still, I think it's not on the leading edge, and that's what makes me think that this is more of a wind producer. The rotating part is maybe back there, not right along those notches, but we'll continue to watch it, and I'm sure the Weather Service there is continuing it as well. We've had quite a bit of flooding. We've had a lot of power outages here in central Arkansas and really across the state, kind of a broad area. Still 61,000 without power in Little Rock, 23,000 without in Saline County. So I said it was over 100,000 in those two counties. It's more like 94,000, 93, 94,000, two counties. And there's more over in Prairie County, Lonoke County, 2,100 without, 1,000 without in Grant County and Hot Springs, about 4,000 are without power there. White County, 2,100. Prairie County, over 1,200 customers without power. So you can obviously tell where that area of strong wind was bowing out up into the central part of the state. All right, back to Chico County we go, and we'll continue to watch this storm. Velocity-wise, it's just kind of moving off to the northeast. It's going to take a little while to cross because the forward progression of this now is really, really slow. It's going to move, I think, now the way it's been moving is just to the north of Lake Village, really. That's just a wind component. National Weather Service in Jackson hasn't said anything more about issuing a tornado warning, but they still just are watching it, as will we. It seems like this threat will never end, and I know some of you are weary from all the storm damage, some spots in the last 3 weeks. have been affected by tornadoes, like up around Cushman, Cave City, twice. Obviously, the one back on March 14th was devastating, but there was another tornado there last night, at least in a few areas, much smaller it appears. But we've been through it, folks, and we're going to emerge out the other side. Little Rock area is looking down at those storms, but really coming out of the Little Rock warning area now.
Latest from Jackson doesn't say anything about the storm in Chico County, so that's good news continuing on there.
We really have no tornado warnings within our viewing area. Phillips County, there still is some rotation there.
Looks like they canceled the warning for Desha County.
Tornado. So it is, and now it's
Yeah.
just in that southern few square miles of Phillips County and Elaine. So we'll continue to watch that for just a few minutes. If that continues to look like just a wind producer, which I think it is, we are going to go, we'll send you back to programming very quickly, and then just keep an eye on Lake Village and that part of Chico County. Looks like that's up to the north of Eudora. And there are no real storm threats, I don't believe, south of there, but we're going to watch the storm as it moves on in. A couple of areas of wind, one coming into the Lake Village or just on the north side, and another one on down out to the east to Portland. And those two they're trying to organize maybe a little bit, but I think this is a wind threat with that storm coming in there. That is the last of our severe weather that will be possible in the state. And when I say possible, it's for a long time. Now, the flooding threat, that severe potential, is ongoing, and it's going to take a while for that water to run off. Our ground is going to be saturated for a long time. But we should completely get rid of really measurable rain later on today and this evening. And then we'll have hardly any chance of rain tomorrow. It'll be very light if it's anything. Could even see a few flakes of snow up in northwest Arkansas. I know that's crazy, but it will get briefly colder. We may not make it out of the 40s for high temperatures on Sunday in some areas of the state, or maybe just briefly if we can get some sunshine, but I think that's going to be limited. Here's southern Phillips County, and they continue to hang on to this warning for this very broad area of rotation south of Elaine and along Highway 44 there. But that too is moving just south of Elaine right now and will continue over into Mississippi. That is the only tornado warned storm we have, and then we are watching the storm down in southeast Arkansas as well as it moves into Lake Village. But for now, I don't see anything that would give me reason to think that there's a tornado warning there. We're going to watch that storm though for a few more miles anyway.
Just strong winds maybe towards Lake Village. Cam, I wanted to see if you could take the storm scan real quick. I wanted to show everybody the flash flooding threat that we're seeing here. All those blue dots there, you've seen blue X's, maybe even the red ones, has to do with flash flooding that's ongoing. That's a lot of areas that have road closures due to the heavy rainfall we've experienced here the last couple days, especially overnight into the first half of today in central Arkansas. There are plenty of road closures. We've seen several roads that have had portions of it washed away. And that's why we always say if you come upon a flooded road, you don't want to drive through it because you don't know if that flooded road is washed away. So it only takes 2 feet of moving water to move your vehicle. So you don't want to drive through any flooded roadways. There'll be barricades on those roads there. And don't drive past those barricades. We'll see these flash flood warnings likely continue throughout the rest of the evening. Still seeing plenty of pictures from you of flash flooding across areas of Arkansas as well. So stay safe if you're out there. Don't go outside today if you don't need to. Thankfully, the severe thunderstorm threat is winding down, but still have several hours to go for flash flooding. And then, Barry, we have to turn towards the threat for the river flooding once all this runoff and from tributaries, everything just starts piling into these rivers here. I've already seen maybe some forecasts for some major flooding for some areas of northeast Arkansas with the White River and river in Saline County. I can't remember the name of that one off the top of my head.
The Saline River and the
Yeah.
Ouachita River and White and Black River, Cache River in eastern Arkansas. Yeah, those are going to be areas that are going to, it takes a while for the runoff. We see the immediate flash flood threat, and then we see the river flooding threat. And there's going to be some that it's going to go on for a long, long time, I'm afraid. But the good news is we have a higher sun angle this time of the year. We're into April. We'll have a lack of rainfall and really appreciable rainfall for maybe a long time, and that's good news. It's just that a lot of this is going to have to run off, and it's going to have to dry up. The sun's going to have to dry it up. And I know the farmers were out, and they were in the midst of really getting a great jump on planting season, and this is just going to put a stop to it for a long time to come, I'm afraid, and that's a regrettable part of it. Even if you were a little bit ahead of schedule, the planting is really going to slow down. So that's one hard part of all of this. We're still seeing the wind coming into Chico County, and we're going to zoom right on in. That's Lake Village. You're under a severe thunderstorm warning, and I don't think Jackson is saying anything about tornado warnings there. Just more of a boat-out wind threat with that, but certainly some heavy rain and some wind, and that is that far southeast corner of our state. And after that, I think we're going to be good to go for a long, long time to come. Tornado warning, I believe, is still in effect there for southern Phillips County. That is issued by the National Weather Service in Memphis. And I'll put this into, that's the last 30 minutes. It's lifting a little farther to the north. Elaine, you're in the tornado warning. Go ahead and get into the safe spot there along Highway 44. But not an obvious sign of tornado with that. It's just such a broad area. I think that is the wind threat that we're looking at with that. But it could be formidable. I mean, it could be, you could have wind gusts up to the severe limits, over 58 miles per hour, up to 60 or so. And I think that's going to be the big threat. But it is right on the Mississippi River. And Elaine is just right there at the Mississippi River. So that will be crossing very quickly, and then we'll have no more tornado warnings. As that, we'll give that a couple more scans, and then we're going to be sending you back to programming while watching all the time down in Chico County. And I don't know that we have seen anything that...
no, just some broader...
Yeah, it's just a broad area of
winds.
wind, depending on which radar you look at. So in just a couple of scans, I think we're going to be sending that back. Austin, you'll have a lot more coming up tonight at 6 on a lot of the pictures that we have, a lot of the damage reports we have, and the flooding threat that we have.
Yeah, that and the quieter weather that we all thankfully need here in the state of Arkansas after the wild ride we've been on the last 4 days here. We got cooler temperatures. The flooding threat and that quieter weather coming up here in the near future. But storm Phillips County, it's right there in Mississippi just about right now. So.
Yeah, crossing over. You folks in the lane, keep an eye on that. And we'll continue to watch Southeast Arkansas for a while longer. Thanks for joining us today for this coverage. I know it's been a turbulent day. There is light at the end of the tunnel, as I said. Austin will have much more at 6, if not sooner. But I think our severe weather threat is really drawing to a close. So at this time, we're going to wrap up our coverage. We're going to send you back to programming for the remainder of the afternoon. Stay safe out there, everybody. Don't drive into floodwater. Don't drive into water you don't absolutely know is less than a foot deep, because you get up toward 1.5 feet or 2 feet, it could float your car away. Let's get out of this safe. Again, thanks for trusting us with your severe weather information. We'll send you back to programming.